public clearly wanted a change in the UK, and I think it's sort of a catastrophic warning to the Democratic Party that you're just going to have somebody that can beat Donald Trump.
2020 Democratic hopeful Mike Bloomberg calling Boris Johnson's big victory in the UK a warning for the far-left candidates here at home.
And he's not the only 2020 Democrat drawing parallels between the UK's conservative landslide and President Trump's historic election. So what does that mean for 2020?
Joining us live this morning, former advisor to Margaret Thatcher, Nile Gardiner. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
What do you say this warning is to the far left here in the United States?
Well, I think certainly British voters rejected far-left extremism. The Labour Party, led by Jeremy Corbyn, is essentially a far-left socialist party. Jeremy Corbyn himself has been described as a Marxist here in the UK. And British voters did not want to embrace the kind of far-left big government socialism that Jeremy Corbyn had on offer. And I think that not only in Britain but across many parts of Europe, I mean, voters have rejected socialist policies, and British voters really, in this case, embraced conservative ideology. They embraced free markets, limited government. They embraced also a strong national defence, a strong British foreign policy, but above all, they embraced Brexit, the ideals of sovereignty and self-determination that British voters had already endorsed back in the 2016 referendum, and they wanted Brexit delivered. But certainly, the UK general election was a massive defeat for the far left. And Jeremy Corbyn also was a deeply anti-American politician. And British voters did not like the kind of America bashing that Jeremy Corbyn represented. Also, the Labour Party as well was deeply mired in anti-Semitic thinking as well. And British voters did not like that. Right. And they didn't like Jeremy Corbyn's constant bashing of Israel. And so British voters said enough is enough. And they voted for 5 years of strong, robust conservative leadership.
Let's take a look at what Joe Biden has to say, warning Democrats of the far-left policies following these elections in the UK. And it says, quote, look what happens when the Labour Party moves so far to the left. It comes up with ideas that are not able to be contained with any rational basis quickly. You're also going to see people saying, my God, Boris Johnson, who is kind of a physical and emotional clone of the president, is able to win. Is it fair to draw parallels?
Well, Boris Johnson is a very charismatic figure. I mean, I think he's an immensely likeable prime minister, and British voters warmed to Boris Johnson. I think that one of the great strengths that Boris Johnson has is his ability to reach out to voters that had been ignored for decades, even generations, right. Actually, especially in the northern cities, the Midland cities as well. Voters who had...
Let me just cut in real quick, because that's the big parallel that we're seeing is, I mean, you see what's called the Red Wall in the UK is the exact same as the Rust Belt here in the United States. When you compare these two political movements, they're so similar. It's really something.
Well, I think there are electorates in the United States, across Europe, across the world, who have felt ignored for so many years. And Boris Johnson came along and took a real interest in the issues that they faced. And also, a lot of these voters in northern industrial cities, the former heartlands of the Labour Party, were also very pro-Brexit. They wanted Britain to leave the European Union. Boris Johnson promised to deliver that. Jeremy Corbyn had a very mixed policy on Brexit, which voters did not embrace. But above all, I think you had a huge chunk of the British electorate who had felt abandoned by the political elites for so many years, and they said enough is enough. And Boris Johnson pledged to embrace these voters, to deal with the issues that they really care about, and that really mattered in this election.
Yeah, I was reading articles this morning saying a lot of voters who have been with the Labour Party for so long voted strictly for Brexit this time, regardless of the candidate, because they want this done.
That's amazing. Yeah. Niall, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. From London this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you.